Great. Welcome back to House Healthcare Committee, and we are now working on our guiding principles, and I'm going to turn it over to Tupper.
Well, thank you, Madam Chair. As we all know, first thing we did was put everybody's ideas up on the whiteboard. Then Joan and Leslie and I went through, we pulled them all together, and we tried as much as we could to get everybody's ideas into this document. That's the draft you have. Now, what we're going to do today is, because we got responses from 5 or 6 people, we'd like each one of the individuals that gave a response to talk about their response and why they think it needs to be changed. Leslie and I have gone over one of the responses. We've agreed on some of the things. But what we need to do is have the rest of the committee agree as well. And then that response and others will put together, and we'll come back with another draft that you'll have beforehand. You can look at, you'll know when we're going to talk about it, and we'll be ready to maybe finalize it next time.
Great.
Okay, so with that, the first response that I want to get into is Representative Pearson. You gave us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 suggestions for the guiding principles. I can pass them down to you. Can you?
Yeah, you'll have to.
And I needed that.
I have no idea what I did.
You think you're going to get away with it? You're not. Nothing was secret. Right down the bottom.
Yeah, right, I see them. Okay, I guess I did do that. I mean, they're just simplistic. You want me to read them?
Well, everybody's got this.
Okay.
So refer to this when you're talking about your recommendations.
Okay, let's see. The first one I had was ensure that Vermonters have access to excellent health care.
So what bullet are you on?
What bullet are you on?
Yeah, just let's know my bullet. You should number them maybe.
They're all coming new to me here. Going, where the heck is it? Maybe it isn't in here.
So maybe you're looking to add it?
I mean, it was something that I came up with, just a very basic thing to show that all Vermonters have access to excellent health care. If you don't want to put it in, it's okay.
It's not a question of we don't want to, we want to make sure we get
Right.
everything refined.
Right.
Okay, so that's something that you think is important.
I think it's central to everything we do, personally. Excellent health care.
And you don't think it's in what's already here?
I don't know that I saw this, so look,
Down on the 5th bullet, like it's over here, but it's not prominent.
yeah, I mean, I have no problem with not putting it in. I mean, it's, again, just to be very frank, I think one sentence that you got up top's enough for me, personally. But the second one was continue to look for ways to solve the workforce problem. I don't know if that's in here because I'm just seeing this now. Workforce, I'm going to show the health care train, support, retain. The next to last bullet pretty much.
The one up from the bottom, yeah.
Right, so we're good there. Make sure all departments are charged with identifying methods, procedures, and changes that can be implemented to make healthcare less expensive. We got that in there. Ongoing quality improvement. The last bullet kind of speaks to it, although I'd love to have the words less expensive or efficiency.
There's affordability.
Affordability doesn't mean less expensive.
It says affordability, sustainable, and efficiency.
Well,
The 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th bullet. I mean, there may be a better way to say it.
Affordability is fine, but it's not necessarily less expensive.
How about
I think
efficiency?
We need to look at, I think we all know we need to look at ways to try to cut expenses in healthcare.
Okay.
it's not that important as far as that goes. Okay, and work with the remote care board to keep hospitals sustainable. We all know that. It's probably in here in some manner. Consider opening a competitive market for healthcare insurers, and that's just my personal little thing that we should, although we've heard that it is able to be done, insurers can come in here, but I think we need to place emphasis on it. And I don't know if that's.
So what's the phrase that you're saying?
Huh?
And support insurers or?
Consider opening a competitive market for healthcare insurers, which
So what you're talking about is other insurance companies.
Right.
Coming into this.
Yeah, to create as much of a competitive market for pricing and services as we can.
Yeah,
That's all.
okay.
Yeah.
All right, give me back my thing now.
You've got that topper.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Can I respond to that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We're gonna talk about it.
If we're gonna go that route, then I also want to have, and maybe we shouldn't go down this road at all, but increase support of public funding for healthcare. So it's a little bit opposite of what Artie's saying. Increase public funding.
So I just want
Okay,
to.
now wait a minute. Let me, before you.
Yep,
What's happening? Remember, decisions
I'm
that we
trying to put it
make,
up. So for a minute.
we may not be able to, and when we're making decisions, we may be making recommendations too.
Right.
And the people downstairs on the floor, after actions that we have taken, we all may be making decisions there. But we're not gonna make those kinds of decisions here.
Yeah.
We may make recommendations. Bill could come out of here
Yeah.
that would do that.
And I understand, and I have no problem if that's watered down to some extent. I think we all need to think outside the box. I don't really spill beans about healthcare, but it just seems to me that we need to find some way to make it less expensive. And that's all that was trying to do.
I got it, we got it.
Can I just add one thing?
Sure, go
I
ahead.
want to make sure these are guiding principles on how we will make our decisions as we face difficult conversations. It is not the guiding principles on how we're going to fix the healthcare
Yeah,
system.
I understand. And you're right. And if I was to do this over again, Topper, I'd probably throw all mine out and go with what you guys got, quite frankly. In looking at the overall big picture,
Okay,
so take mine with a grain of salt.
okay.
That's all I'm saying.
Sorry, one more thing for those who may be watching us, we are about to post our guiding principles to the committee page.
Yeah.
I can't figure out how to post them up here. So if you're watching, you'll be able to get to them shortly. Back to you.
Okay. Mari, you sent in some suggestions. Just do it by bullet.
All right, so even though I included the 5 elements, principles embedded in Act 48, I see a couple of them sprinkled here, but I'm
That's
not,
not what you're looking at.
this is the same as that, it's just not, right?
Yeah.
Can I see, I think it's the same thing, it's just not, doesn't have the tracks,
Oh, I see what you
the
mean.
tracking on it.
Yes.
Yeah. The bullets are the same.
So, I would like to see in there something about a transparent healthcare system. Trying to figure out where that would support health equity in the individual.
I'm not sure can you talk about what a transparent healthcare system is? That's pretty broad.
So it's part of the 5 principles embedded in Act 48, and they came out of the human rights.
No, I get that, but what does that mean?
Transparency in the process of governing around healthcare. So our process has to be transparent. Our process has to be accountable to the people of Vermont
So transparency.
and accountable to the people of Vermont.
Okay. And we didn't have that in there.
I talked about it up there.
Up top, that's the one we played with. Yeah, okay.
You didn't sort of understand it, I don't think, because it's broad, where does transparency land?
I think it's important, and
We got it.
it also, in my other bullets, I said, something similar, focus on an inclusive process. Prevent and repair harm.
We did talk about making sure that nobody would do no harm and aim to do good in the second bullet. So
But that's all crossed out.
No, that's
Well,
fine.
so don't worry about the crossouts, right? So the crossouts are Daisy's recommendations, and I apologize, I didn't realize that anyone else had responded. So that's why I sent Daisy's out.
If we could add to that, and repair harm,
Add to which bullet?
the second one. So we want to prevent harm, but we also want to repair harm, when we can.
Okay, we can't do that, but we can recommend, I'll keep going back to that,
As a
We can-
guideline.
as a guideline, yeah.
Because there are bills that there is language, there is policy that we could introduce and pass that would repair harm. So I feel like that should be a value of ours and, when we can, strive to repair harm. And I won't go into the other ones, but I do have a question and see what you think and what other people think about the focus of, in all of the bullets, referring to people as patients or clients.
We
I think,
chose that.
I still see patients and clients.
Yeah, it's still there, but we did it this afternoon.
Yeah, well, the question came up about Vermonters and that so what do you substitute in?
So the third bullet,
Yeah.
decisions we make will empower patients or clients to participate in their own health. So I just want to explain where I come from with that.
Yeah.
People are people first, who happen to then be patients and clients. So I think we need to focus on people being people, because when they become a patient or a client, there's this institutional unspoken thing that happens as soon as you put a Johnny on, where you lose. You address empowerment here, that's great, I love that, but you become disempowered, you become, anyway.
So what kind of a word would you like there?
So I think the word Vermonters was mentioned,
Yeah,
but remember who it was, someone in the Social Equity Caucus, when I said the word Vermonters, Marconi, was frustrated with that word. Like, what does that mean? It's not inclusive.
So how about the people?
People,
Or the people.
the people.
instead of patient.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm speaking out of turn.
Yeah.
I think it's a person-centric instead of patient-centric, and like doctor-patient relationship is fine, but I think person-centric instead of patient-centric, and like it will empower people or the people instead of Vermonters. That's what I would suggest. I don't know.
Person.
Decisions we make will empower people to participate in their own
Yeah.
care. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's good.
This way, if someone's visiting Vermont, they still are empowered.
Okay. Michael, I want Michael, I don't care about the others.
You want to?
This thing right here.
You're what,
This
you
is
gotta
my
close that
Bible.
out. Thank you, Topper.
So
Okay.
Maury, I think that you mentioned somewhere, I remember it flashing before my face, about the word ensure.
That was Alyssa.
Oh, that was Melissa.
I wanted
So
to
let's
chime in
work
on
on it.
this.
Okay, sorry, I didn't know where that came from.
I think Tucker's going in some sort of order here.
Yeah, can I get on deck?
I'll give you one deck,
All
yeah,
right, because I have a wordsmithing thing that might solve this problem too, and
okay,
address mine.
good. I just want to make sure we get everyone. Let's see. Daisy is the other one that's sent today. Right, yeah. All right. And hers is quite extensive.
Well, if you accept all changes and look at it, it's not so extensive. And that was my goal, is to condense the characters, but certainly not reduce the power of what it is we're trying to say. Because I think the drafters did a remarkable job of articulating what some of us, myself, couldn't the day that we were throwing out words.
Okay, let's go through yours.
You want to go line by line?
Yeah.
Okay. So the first bullet was originally, will ensure that,
Do you want me to read it too?
thanks.
We will ensure that decisions we make are grounded in a person-centric model that will improve quality and outcomes for all, with the doctor-patient or person relationship being the central decision-making force in a person's care.
Can I make a comment? We agreed that we're going to take out doctor, patient, just so we think about it, it's going to be provider, patient, and that's important because it includes people beyond the physician, all kinds of providers.
Gotcha.
Nurses and OT and et cetera, just so we get that in there.
How does that set with everybody else?
I feel valued now that I'm being acknowledged as a provider and it's not just about the doctors.
Yeah, for sure.
How does that set with you, with your recommendation?
Well, the comment that I put in the margin is really around saying a patient-centric model. Because I think a lot of folks that will be curious about what our principles are guiding us as we really shape the healthcare system in Vermont are probably going to be people who are participating in the system at some level, and many of them will be more experienced at it than we are. And so when we say a patient-centric model, they're going to assume a lot of things about a model and it being a specific thing. And I don't think we mean a specific thing here. And so I think I would move away from using the word model. We could be talking about a model of integration. We could be talking about a model of hospital billing or whatever. So I'm suggesting we move away from model and we focus on people. And we say decisions we make are grounded foremost in supporting a positive experience.
I was gonna say, what about a patient-centered experience?
Yeah, and in light of, the conversation
Person-centered.
about, it
we got rid
being
of
about people instead of patients, which I take your point really well. Like, what about decisions we make are grounded foremost in supporting a positive experience within the Vermont system of care?
Yeah, I like that.
It's not about patients, it's about providers too, right?
Yeah, I like that.
Claire,
Say that again.
yeah, or Claire, I don't know if you got it, you could say,
Decisions we make are grounded foremost in supporting a positive experience within the Vermont system of care.
for everyone.
And that includes providers and everybody.
Yep,
I like that.
That's good.
fabulous.
What's the Vermont, what system of care? Just Vermont?
Within the Vermont system of care.
Claire's
Claire's got it. You don't have to
Okay.
worry about it. Now, the next bullet said, we will ensure that decisions we make will aim to not intentionally do harm and will aim to do good.
You took that right out.
I took that right out because one, I had to read it 3 times to make sure I got the will this and will not do that. So there were a lot of grammatically it was a little confusing. I also felt it was a little bit duplicative of the above because it was about, what kind of environment and experience we're aiming to influence or support. And I think if we say it right the first time, we don't need to say it twice.
So, I'm keeping my mouth shut.
No, you keep your mouth shut. Keep it going.
You were intentional about your wants around harm and
Not
repair
harm.
harm. So how do you feel about what Daisy's saying?
I'd be okay, if we're gonna talk about not doing harm, I want repair harm to be there. If we're not gonna talk about harm at all, then just take it out.
If it's going to be a good experience, it's not going to be a harmful experience. So I agree with you.
Sometimes there's unintended consequences.
Yeah, can I say something about the harm? That, and if you don't have to believe what I believe, but I've incorporated some elements of Buddhism into my belief system, and in Buddhist thinking, to exist is to suffer. To actually be alive means you're going to suffer, you're going to experience harm. And so I think to say that we want to design it so there'll never be harm is actually an unrealistic expectation. So we need to always be mindful of the harm we're causing to others and ourselves. That's all I'd say about it.
Well, and we were saying not intentionally do harm.
Yes. But I think we need to, I think we need to acknowledge that there's harm in it, I guess. I know there's that I think we need to say, like, we will intentionally, like, I think what it says about not intentionally doing harm and aiming to do good is fine. I don't know.
I think in my point about repairing harm is an acknowledgement that our systems have been designed through history to have elements of oppression that harm.
So what if we say reduce and repair harm or something like that?
Okay, here's an idea right here. Go ahead.
Okay, we will ensure that decisions we make will not intentionally do harm.
But that then we actually need to, so repair harm is a lot more active than,
I think it has to be both.
Repair,
Yeah.
both.
Yeah, I think it
for
should be.
example, there's a situation that happens both for people of color and for women where clinical research trials are designed
All right.
only on white men. When there are significant physiological differences of genders and the different races. So
Okay,
it's
here's
real, that systemic oppression is real. We've heard about it in this committee in the last bienniums. And I don't think that we should take a passive stance towards that.
Okay. Now, here's what I'd like to do. You three, one, two, three. How about you three take that bullet and write it the way you think it should be? You already have the one that
I think we
put in.
agree, so. Because you're okay with saying.
But you gotta do it
Stop
quick.
doing it and repairing it. Okay, you want to do it right now? I mean,
No, not right now, because we're gonna get out.
Send it to Claire.
I think we
Send a
agree.
text thread and with the three
Do
of
it
us.
together, send it to Claire.
All right, make it so.
Thank you. And, probably today, tomorrow, the latest.
I'm not doing it tomorrow. I'm at
Because we
work.
can sit here and talk all day about.
Yeah, I'm working at my other job, two jobs. So
We'll get you Monday.
Go ahead.
I'll do it right now.
Daisy.
Daisy, why do I keep calling you Leslie?
I don't know.
Oh, then Leslie's down there.
Okay, the third bullet says, Lori, can you help me with the original?
We will ensure that decisions we make will empower people to participate in their own healthcare according to their ability.
I suggest that we say, decisions we make will empower people to participate in their own healthcare to the best of their ability.
Fine.
Okay?
It's fine with me.
Three is done.
The next bullet,
Easy.
Daisy, nice job.
hey, thanks, everybody. I think the next bullet should say, decisions we make will aim to improve population health, support health equity, and individual wellness.
And what was it before?
Before it was, we will ensure that decisions we make will make sure that there's continuous improvement of the health of the population, that healthy lifestyles are promoted.
I'm good with Daisy.
Yep,
Yep,
Which,
Daisy?
you like it?
ding, 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 ding.
Ding, ding, ding. Everyone like it?
Yep.
Sounds good to me.
With patients or clients, switch to people.
Daisy, you're really doing something here. Thanks for the
All right.
time on this.
You want me to keep going?
I want you to keep going.
Please, as fast as you can, go.
Okay, we will be mindful of social determinants of health as we strive to address barriers to accessibility, affordability, sustainability, and efficiency across the health system.
And the way it read was,
We will ensure that structures are in place to ensure equity, accessibility, affordability, sustainability, and efficiency.
So I have a question about that. I think it's great. You took out the word equity, and I was wondering if you took it out because you thought it was elsewhere. But I don't think it was explicit elsewhere. So that was the only question I had about that.
Yeah, in the comments, I said This is a lot to commit to building. I suggest we incorporate supporting health equity in our decisions and then commit to strive to address the barriers to all of these things rather than committing to building the structures to solve them. Does that make sense?
Not to me, because I'm not sure I get the distinction.
Why is equity removed from your list?
Social determinants of health is to strive to address the barriers to,
May have been accidental.
I think that's accidental.
Okay,
Yeah, that's accidental.
Okay, cool.
Good catch.
So that's going back in.
Yeah.
so can you read it again, Daisy?
Okay. We will be mindful of social determinants of health as we strive to address barriers to equity, accessibility, affordability, sustainability, and efficiency across the health system. Great. Thank you, Leslie.
Oh, sure.
Okay.
Thank you. I mean, you
I
really put a lot
keep
of.
hearing this, we. Should we change that to a healthcare committee?
No, I think,
Okay,
I actually have an opinion about this.
Okay, go
It's my
ahead.
turn.
Okay.
Well, is it my turn now?
I just curious, I just see we, and I said.
Okay, well, you brought it up.
We, but we are a committee.
Very French.
Yeah.
what'd you say?
I said it sounds very French right now. He does. He go,
It's
we.
okay, it's just it was just something
We is kind of personal, you know?
You are.
What I was gonna say,
For you, Brian,
yeah, not to like
do this.
not to be a wordsmithing person, but I was realizing like if they all say we will ensure that decisions,
Yeah.
we like maybe we just say something like decisions we make are grounded, decisions we make will and aim, without the we
She
will
did that.
ensure.
She did that well.
Who did that?
Daisy.
Someone heard.
Okay, so that they've already been trimmed that way.
I wasn't listening, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Decisions.
Yeah, if they have, then
Yes.
yeah. So because that
Okay.
and yeah, because then it just makes it.
We're okay.
And then I was like, well, then they all say decisions we make. You know, so like maybe we can take that, change that, you know, and simplify it. What?
I mean, my one big problem with the entire thing all the way through is the word ensure.
Okay,
Yeah.
It makes you
We
think of
can't make that
formula.
We
promise.
cannot make that promise, and I'm not gonna have a,
Can't
we
make.
can strive,
We can aim.
we can aim,
Yeah,
I agree
not
wholeheartedly.
ensure.
yeah.
I agree wholeheartedly.
So right now, based on what we've decided on, the first bullet says, decisions we make are grounded.
Mhm.
We're getting rid of we will.
Yeah.
Yes.
The second bullet, you all are gonna come back with. The third bullet is decisions we make will empower.
yeah.
The fourth, people, right? The fourth, I'm just doing the beginning. The fourth one we agreed to are decisions we make will aim.
Yep.
And we're still on 5.
Well, so what if I'm sorry, what if not to.
Five starts, we will be mindful, so we're already done with five.
It's always so frustrating, but like, cause what if
We're on
we.
6.
You can't have two people now. One at a
I
time.
thought it was my turn and everyone else started talking,
No,
so.
You're
Yeah,
on.
so what I was getting at is like, the more that I trim the beginning, the more I'm like, well, this could really be simplified to like, when it says we are guided by the following, it could say grounded in, grounded in, it could say, aim to reduce harm. It could say like, you know what I'm saying? It could be a verb at the front.
Supporting a positive patient.
Yeah, exactly. Like it could be like a phrase instead of like a sentence and then it's
I
simpler.
mean, like 2 sentences.
Yeah, although you have the wills,
Well-
that one there, but and then for me, will is a trigger thing because in my family's language, there's no future tense, and so anytime you say we will, it just doesn't feel right because the future is not guaranteed. It's similar to what you were saying about ensuring, like it feels like a false promise. So I just like saying like, we are grounded in a patient centric, like we are, or not even we are. We could just say grounded in a patient centric model. Aim to not cause harm. I'm just making stuff up right now to demonstrate what I mean.
Yeah, but Brian,
Anyway.
I need to interrupt you. In order to make it something that we're responsible for, I think we have to have something up front that says,
Well, correct me if I'm wrong,
all
Brian.
decisions we make will.
But
Or are grounded in.
yeah, I think saying grounded in versus will. Like,
Okay, all right.
yeah.
I mean, I hear what you're saying totally, except we are doing this for our future work. So there is a future tense involved in how we are,
We're not doing it for today.
and tomorrow, and with the budget and the whatever.
I see what.
Yeah, I can let this go. It's a cultural difference.
I love it.
I can let it go. I can let it
Brian's
go.
saying though, and it's sort of, I think supports, I was thinking that we didn't set the pair or the bullets up very well in terms of like we state the governing charge or whatever at the very top. I don't want to get out of line of going through our bullets, though.
Yes, so let's hold.
And
I
I'm
get what
done, I
you're
made my
saying.
point, I'm done.
Okay, and we've got it.
And that, you can do what you want at this point, I said.
Well, remember, you're gonna have another shot at this. So let's get down to get, so.
Another bite at the apple.
We don't wanna solve the problem completely
All right.
today, because we're not gonna.
So did we agree to the fifth bullet? We will be mindful of social determinants of health. as-
Yes.
Yeah, we did.
Although the reason that I didn't catch Brian's comment when I said I wasn't listening, because I paused at why equity was scratched out, because I tried to condense that in the previous bullet where I said, decisions we make will aim to improve population health, support health equity, and individual wellness. So again, I'm really trying not to be duplicative and wordy with buzzwords and really be intentional about where we focus our efforts and not just say equity because
Okay.
it sounds
Okay,
good.
Right, yep.
So when we redraft, let's think about where that word is most actionable.
Yeah, right.
all right, let's go to the
Next
next one.
bullet, we will ensure that decisions we make will ensure that all patients and providers feel safe in the healthcare setting. I scratched that whole bullet. Again, it's about
Okay, wait a minute
safety.
now. She scratched out the whole bullet.
And where does safety appear else?
I agree too.
I agree.
Yeah,
But where does safety appear otherwise? I mean, we've just heard so much.
And ensure safety.
No, but we would strive. I mean, let's say we're making that change. I get that. I think you're right.
second to the last bullet,
It's in the first one, that's why I scratched it.
Okay. You
also
think it's in the
this,
first one?
also in the second to the last one, trained, supported, retained. And instead of appreciated there, I think valued. Appreciated is passive and.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, that, our goal was to make sure that people are valued.
Yep.
We use.
So Brian, can you help me? I'm really interested in your language.
Valued is giving us a
Leslie, can we
raise.
just, we're gonna come back to that, I promise.
What are you doing it now?
No,
Can we
not-
just go bullets to bullets?
I'm answering emails while we talk.
Oh,
so.
Can we just go through the bullets and then we'll come back to that, Leslie?
Go ahead. Please.
Okay, so that was my suggestion. The next, can I go to the next bullet?
Yep,
Second to last bullet,
Can I ask a question? The one that you scratched out, safety, we agreed to take it out. I just want to understand is that
Yeah,
okay, got it. Go ahead. And then we agreed to take out the next one?
We're on
We
that.
haven't talked about
we're on
that.
that one now.
and this is one that is really dear to me and I thought hard about. It's important to my district especially, and it's one that I hear a lot. I hear about a lot in Winooski.
Yeah,
Is we will ensure that decisions we make will help provide culturally aware care. I think that addressing social determinants of health and operationalizing that through improving population health approaches, supporting health equity, and also tying that to looking at individual health outcomes is how we get at addressing that. It's not as simple as using, addressing culturally aware care. You can say that it doesn't check the box. I think you really have to look at how to operationalize it and learn about what that means.
okay, now, did you, in your other changes, did you feel that you addressed that?
I do.
And we-
I certainly wouldn't cross it out if I didn't feel that, but
Okay, so
Which
you
bullet
felt
do you
that
think it's addressed?
by the changes that she made,
Yeah.
she addressed that, because that was important to us.
Well, it's up there, like, we're in green up there, so that's why we commented on it. And the question I have for you is, I totally understand. If we did all that right with the social determinants of health appropriate to the population in front of us, then we would do exactly what you just said, which is great. But does it communicate to the world? But maybe we're not communicating to the world, we're communicating just for us that we want to be culturally aware. That,
health equity, culturally aware is kind of It's becoming less accepted
Yeah.
as a phrase.
Okay, it was up there. That's why we were just trying not to lose it. Got it.
So I'd rather not, because it can mean anything and it's also kind of passive. I think it's health equity is up there in the fourth bullet,
And I think what's important is
also the sixth bullet.
what we went through here, right? We had a chance to compile here, which thank you very much for this amazing work. And now talk through it again after we've had time to process it. So,
All right, so we agree that we're going to take out that third from the bottom bullet, is what I'm hearing.
Right.
That's what I would like, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, the next one, I had no changes to, but I heard Mari, you suggested changing appreciated to valued.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I agree with
that's
that.
okay. Appreciate value.
So it reads, we will ensure that the healthcare workforce is trained, supported, retained, and valued so that they may meet the ongoing needs of the Vermont population.
we will aim
we will aim or strive.
or.
We will aim.
Aim or strive, however that,
And that's a place where, Brian, I'm interested in hearing what your verb would be.
Brian,
Gotta look.
Brian.
You can wait a second while I like.
No, we have 2 minutes.
go ahead.
Go ahead, Brian.
You're on.
Now I got distracted. Can you tell me which bullet point you were on about my verb?
Second to the last, we're just trying to understand what you would use if you're not going to use a future tense.
For the second to last sentence?
Right, so instead of we will aim or we will strive, what would you say? Martin will be right with you.
We support, train, retain, and appreciate the healthcare workforce so that they may meet the ongoing needs of the Vermont population.
We support,
Or of the people,
Okay.
not the Vermont population, of the people.
I'm sorry, you said we support what?
Well, it's like flipping it around. So instead
Right.
of saying ensuring that the workforce is trained, supported, I would say we
we aim to support the healthcare.
No, we
maybe
just support.
We support the workforce through training, retention, and appreciation, so they may meet the needs, ongoing needs of the people, or something like that.
And
But
I
not-
love that. It's so much more active.
Yeah.
I like that. I think
That's yeah. That's like saying it's all about the present, like what
Yes.
you're doing, the
You get
moment
that,
you're
sir?
like.
okay, good.
And maybe Claire can figure out how to.
Can Brian needs to say, hold on, Brian needs
Okay,
to
I'll
say
say
it
it
again.
very slowly, in a poetic fashion.
We don't have a lot of time.
You gonna
Let's
dance?
get to it.
When you rush me, it just makes me slow down. It's like it's like a cognitive issue. Okay,
Okay.
we. I'm sorry.
We support the
Our
health.
our healthcare, yes. Well, if we're gonna use we, then we would say we support our healthcare workforce through training, retention, and appreciation, so they may meet the ongoing needs of the people. That's one way to do it. Or we could just say our healthcare workforce is trained, supported, retained, and appreciated, so they may meet.
I like the first one.
Okay.
Oh, interesting.
Claire, can you figure out how to use value instead of appreciation in there?
Yes.
I have it written down, yeah.
Okay, one last one.
Last one
Last one.
reads, we will
Oh, we won't.
we will make decisions.
How about we provide
to
ongoing?
provide- Okay,
Our
we provide
decisions.
ongoing support for quality
Exactly.
improvement activities of the healthcare delivery system.
Capitalist sounding.
I like including the quadruple aims that you had in there.
Oh, I forgot about that comment. Okay.
So I'm gonna suggest, sorry, that Topper and Leslie finish the last one. See her notes here. Okay. Brian, Mari, and Daisy do what bullet were they doing?
3.
I don't even know. anymore.
3.
I think I agree
No,
with
two.
Mari and
Two.
Daisy were
2,
saying.
okay.
The harm one. Okay,
We shall do no harm. It's very.
And Alan, we're gonna try and get rid of we will,
No, well,
because I think that's great.
we will.
We will, and then you're full, not looking at, I like that too.
May not shall, you know.
Is everybody okay with the quadruple aim?
I know,
Everybody okay with the last comment on the right?
Yeah.
I asked.
I'm honestly okay with everything. I'm just participating to help. Yeah, but I'm not attached to any of this because in the end,
You should be, Brian. There are guiding principles.
actions speak louder than words.
Sorry.
There's no voice.
But words are a start.
Hold on, we're not ending this conversation right now, so I'd like to hear from Alyssa.
Nothing. I am disappointed in the process. I am not sure what we are trying to achieve here. It was my understanding that we are doing a mission statement. This is not a mission statement. I'm not sure if people know what a mission statement is. It's a short statement of what our intentions are. And I just feel like we have gone down too many rabbit holes. And it would be nice if we could condense this a little bit.
So,
And I will submit my suggestions on how we can do that.
Perfect.
And then everyone else can take it or leave it.
okay, thank you. We're not done with this. I think we said that at the beginning, so I'm glad you put your voice out there.
Yeah.
I think the plan is we will, Topper and Leslie, and if someone else wants to join, we'll work on another draft, which Claire took a lot of notes. You send your information to Claire, Topper, and Leslie, and we will come back with another draft. This is not the end.
Yeah,
I agree about the mission statement. I've worked on a lot of them. It's painful. And it's somehow it morphed even in the title from mission statement to guiding principles.
But that's where it started. That was-
Yeah, guiding principles is what we were going to do,
Yeah.
but we do need to condense. I agree with Leslie on that.
So but I'm hoping in that, because when it gets dragged out, it loses any kind of potency. So I'm not sure if you're thinking that people could get back to us by, so that we could do our work by and move on from this.
yeah.
When would you like everyone to get back to that?
Well,
Well, at
we did this in one afternoon.
An hour.
We got a weekend ahead of us. I know people don't like to do a lot of stuff on the weekend. But we don't have a hell of a lot to do.
Right.
It also depends on, we don't want Claire
Claire,
working through the weekend.
she's not gonna work on the
No,
weekend.
she's not gonna work on it.
So let's do this. So Claire, can you send Topper and Leslie what you typed up? Can you three do the second bullet, please, and send to Topper and Leslie? Can you please, oh, Cindy's done, that's perfect. And I would like us to come back to this on Wednesday at 2 p.m.
Oh, so that means Topper and I need,
We're gonna worry about the logistics after
I
this.
just want to get in my head that you're looking for the next incorporated draft
Yes.
by Wednesday.
Wednesday at 2 p.m. That work?
Go with me.
All right, thank you, everyone. That's a hard, like, again, I said this when we started this project, that's a hard thing that we're working on. So I appreciate everyone's voice and everyone's work on this. And so now we're gonna flip to our drive-through.
Are you gonna do the shell?
We're changing it.
We changed that.
We don't want to shoot you.
Okay, all right, nice, okay, all right.
Brings up
All right.
connotations of french fries and
Right.
stuff like that.
I'm used to the old language. Yes, I'm the Michelle today, Ms. Hammond.
Yes.
You have me
Nice to
instead.
meet you.
But I'm not gonna give you like a walkthrough anyway, so you're
Please.
safe.
Yes.
So we've been, in.
Can you introduce yourself, please?
Thank you, yes, God, you forget
I know.
so quickly. Representative Martin Lalone, Chair of the Judiciary Committee, House Judiciary Committee, that is, the best of the judiciary committees. In any event, so we've been considering the last couple of weeks, Bill H-89, which would create a shield law to protect Vermont providers of reproductive or gender affirming health care or patients of those providers from other states' civil or criminal penalties. Doesn't provide complete protection, that's not really necessarily possible, but it does provide a number of ways that it protects, and I'll focus on the providers. So it's really a matter of applying Vermont law to these particular services, and we're considering them to be legally protected services. It's probably the easiest way to describe this is to give you a quick scenario. A scenario is, a Vermonter, this is an easy scenario, a young person goes away to a state like Alabama to college. I won't make any comments about University of Alabama. But in any event, goes to the University of Alabama and becomes pregnant and wants to get reproductive, wants to get an abortion. That individual wouldn't be able to get that in Alabama. Or if that person, given a slightly different scenario, is receiving gender affirming care in Vermont, and then also goes away to school or a summer camp in another state like Alabama, and can't find anybody in Alabama to continue with the therapy and such. So receives through telehealth from a Vermont licensed provider those services. Alabama, or I'm just picking on Alabama, it's a good one to pick on because they have some very harsh laws, including if anybody assists a minor to get gender affirming care of any sort, could be subject to a felony of up to 10 years imprisonment. So it's really quite harsh. So in any event, if somebody in Alabama wanted to go after the provider in Vermont, we would essentially not cooperate. We would not honor a subpoena to send the provider or make the provider available for testimony, or send documents to Alabama. We wouldn't extradite the person unless, of course, the person had actually performed the services in Alabama and fled the state. But that's not the case in health. Or just another real quick example is Texas has this law, SB 8 it's called, which is kind of a bounty law where anybody who helps in any manner or aids in any manner somebody receiving an abortion can be sued, and the person who's suing can collect a $10,000 or more bounty. It doesn't have to have any relationship to the person who had the abortion. And they may try to collect that money in Vermont. And we're putting barriers for them to be able to do that. And also giving providers in Vermont the opportunity, a new cause of action called tortious interference, where they could sue the person in Texas trying to collect that damage for the same amount of damage plus attorney's fees and costs. The reason I'm just bringing it up to you is it involves these healthcare issues. There's definitions in the bill, which are probably the most important for the healthcare committee, related to what constitutes legally protected healthcare, gender affirming healthcare, reproductive healthcare services, and then also there's a provision we're still working on that would be the exceptions, because if the Vermont provider has not lived up to Vermont standard of care, this would not protect them, for instance. And Vermont standard of clinical care is what I'm talking about for that. I don't think that healthcare needs to weigh in on this now, because the same definitions are in S37, which is a bill that's in health and welfare in the Senate and will be coming to this committee. But I did want to give you that heads up that, and I think that's really the main part that is the overlap, is the definitions that we are trying to assure are consistent between the two bills. And the Legislative Council are working together. I'm working with the chair of that committee to make sure we're being consistent. So I wanted to flag that for you, just so you knew that that's when this comes up probably on the floor next week. You will understand kind of the background and why you didn't need to look at those definitions at this point.
Right.
Because you'll get your opportunity.
We will. And I just met with the Senator of Health and Welfare this morning and talked about.
With the what?
Senator of Health and Welfare.
Chair. I'm sorry. I got
Chair.
confused, yeah.
Yeah, the chair of the Health and Welfare Committee, and talked about, her timeline. So it will be coming to us. Leslie, any questions?
I'm just not understanding the process. So we have the House bill that's coming to the floor next week, but then there's a Senate bill coming but a similar bill. How does it I'm not understanding how that interacts.
Well, the Senate bill, the only thing that's really the same are the definitions, and we're making sure as these things are moving, they're the same. They're dealing with malpractice insurance
Okay.
and licensing issues.
Okay,
And that's why you guys are gonna get that, because that's within your jurisdiction, not ours.
got it.
But once you get past those definitions, it's all court procedure stuff that we're talking
From
about
this
here, in this bill.
Okay, I understand.
Court procedure and constitutional law and those kind of things. So there's the difference.
What's the number of that bill?
H89.
It's on our webpage.
On the webpage. Alyssa?
I'm just confused about one section, or one thing that you were talking about.
Sure.
So, you gave the example of the person at a camp in Alabama receiving gender affirming care here in Vermont. It's down there. Some telehealth happens. So we know that it's a Vermont provider. It's a Vermont child who's visiting Alabama, but via telehealth, you have to first of all, the provider needs to either be in a compact or licensed in the state of Alabama to practice medicine. So conceivably, that Vermont provider would also have a license in Alabama to provide this care, which would mean that if Alabama went after this provider, they would lose their license in Alabama, which would be like a sanction on their license.
Right.
I mean, it doesn't matter that Vermont says, we think your Vermont license is in good standing. That provider would still have a sanctioned license, which has all sorts of implications.
Absolutely. And you're going to get to deal with that particular issue of the licensing. But I will also tell you, though, that we are being very explicit we will be very explicit because this is the one area that we're still working on the language, but we are going to make very clear that the legally protected healthcare activity that doesn't get shielded, where it doesn't apply, it will include services that are rendered below a clinical standard. And we're going to make clear that a person does not need to be licensed in that other state to be protected in Vermont. Because we're going to say if you're licensed in Vermont and providing that care, we are going to apply Vermont law and we're going to shield you, even if you don't have a license in the other state.
So I think it's fantastic, but we just dealt with the compact.
No, that's that. You're going to deal with that. That one is going to be in your bailiwick, and Senate's taking the first shot. Completely, everybody's completely aware of that and needs to figure that out. It just and it's somewhat separate from this. We're saying we'll shield you in this case, but how that affects the licensing part, again, that's with you guys. We're making it very blanket. If you're licensed in Vermont, we will shield you if you're providing services to another state. That's banning these procedures. So
if I could ask a question.
Yes.
How, I'm maybe missing it. Is the person is doing something by telehealth?
Correct.
For this person who's gone to Alabama.
Right.
Well, okay, if it turns out that an abortion is what's being done in they can't do it there.
Well, it would be medicated abortion. That's the thing, is that's the way that this is happening for a huge percentage of the time, and you can hear from other folks.
All right, okay.
So what I was gonna say is, I do need to go with 3. I was gonna suggest that maybe people think about your questions, we compile them in some way, so when the time comes, we can bring the witnesses in to talk through the details, to talk about, here's some case scenarios, because that's gonna help, because this, and without even putting anything out there today, I won't even put hypotheticals out. I think it'd be good to just be like, in this situation, it would protect someone. Here's another situation, so people can understand it. That was gonna be my suggestion.
Right. And that's on the licensing side. We've done the same thing on the legal side and the shield bills. And I just will add really quickly, and there's other situations where an individual from, let's say, Missouri comes to Vermont and actually gets the reproductive services here. Missouri may try to go after the.
Yeah.
There's been bills to that extent that they're trying, so this, would also protect a Vermont provider in that situation, so.
Martin, 2 questions, sorry. Leslie, and then you're good? Al, and then we're done.
If we do a shield law, this is going to interrupt what we talked about the other day with the compact.
No, it won't. So we need to treat them separately and work on the compacts. And when the shield bill we will work on that. And then, as we mentioned with the counseling compact, the counseling committee is working on the rules
Okay.
around how they would handle this for their compact. So, we're doing all of this. Providers still have to know what the rules are in every state. And when you're joining a compact, it's this, so it affects it, but we're going to look at it differently, Alan.
I mean,
If that helps.
I don't anticipate that most doctors are gonna take the chances.
Right,
But for those who wanna help, somebody who are in desperate need in some other state.
exactly. Yeah, great. Thank you, Martin.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone. Claire, have a great weekend.